everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today I thought I would tell you guys all about the 12 books that I ended up reading in the month of June. This was definitely the best reading month so far, so it feels amazing. But yeah, let's wrap up some reading, I guess. So the first book I ended up finishing was Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I just kind of stumbled upon this book in the library and decided to pick it up because I've heard a lot of people talk about it. And I mean, Clara is supposed to be an AI, I think you're supposed to say. I was intrigued by the concept, but really quickly I got bored because Clara, probably because she is an AI, she doesn't really have much of a personality, and I didn't really care about the characters or the plot, and it just got very very slow, and I just wasn't like, I had to force myself to finish it up basically. Not a new favorite of mine. And then I also read Tilly and the Book Wanderers by Anna James. This is the second book in Pages & Co series. This was such a quick read. I love the book wandering aspect, and she gets to meet a bunch of new literary characters from different classics, such as Little Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, Jack and the Beanstalk, and so on. And it's just so good, and I love the little picture illustrations you get throughout. And yeah, it was such a quick read and I really enjoyed this one. And then we have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and this was another book that bored me a little bit. It's very heavily focused on the main character's depression and like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. And I mean, we do know that back in the day they didn't really treat people very well. They had depressions, they got like electrocution stuff in their head and stuff, trying to change their way of thinking. So that I knew on beforehand, but was still a little bit interesting to know about. But it was also very dark. Main character was very racist throughout the entire book, and well, I mean, the book is a product of its time, but still, it was a lot. And I just, even if it was such a short book, I felt like I had to force myself to finish it, so unfortunately it wasn't a new favorite either. And then I also ended up picking up Spy Family by Tatsuya Endo. This is volume 1, and this is about a guy who is a spy, and he has to go undercover for his next mission, and to be able to complete his mission he has to procure a wife and a child. What he doesn't know that his so-called wife is an assassin and his child is a telepath, so that definitely changes things. I feel like I really savored reading this one. Like, I really took my time with it, even though it's really short, just because of the very intricate, interesting illustrations. But yeah, it was such a quick read. I really enjoyed the characters and the plot twists, and like great character dynamics and everything like that. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Then I also read Amal Unbound by Aisha Saeed. This is a middle grade book. So we meet our main character Amal. What she wants to do with her life is to become a teacher. She really admires her teacher she has in her school, and that's the entire plan. Just finish school, learn how to become a teacher, and then study to become a teacher basically. This very quickly changes after an accidental run-in with the very corrupt landlord's son, and she's basically forced to become his mother's servant to be able to pay off her family's debt. And this was really quick. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the characters and the family dynamics, but I do wish that the ending had a little bit more. It wrapped up way too quickly. Like, the ending was like the last 20 pages and everything just sold itself. So yeah, I just wish they had done that a little bit more thoroughly. Then I also read Hurricane Child by Casey Callender. This is about 12-year-old Caroline, and she is basically bullied in school. She doesn't really have any friends. They think she's weird. The kids at school are very racist. But she ends up getting a new friend, a new girl, starts her school called Kalinda. They become the best of friends, and they're trying to figure out where Caroline's mother went, because she disappeared like a year and a half ago. And, you know, shit goes awry. So I wanted to like this one so badly, but even though it's such a short book, I felt like it took me forever to read it. I didn't really connect with the characters, I didn't really care about anything. And both Caroline and her friend Kalinda, they're supposed to be 12 years old, but they speak like they're a lot older, like they're adult almost. And that just made it a little bit weird reading wise. Unfortunately not a new favorite. And then I read The Promised Neverland Volume 5, and I love this series so much. I don't really usually end up loving mangas or graphic novels because I'm very like particular about what I like, and I have a hard time finding stuff that I like. But I love this series so much, and I saw them all at the library, and I figured I should pick up the next 2 volumes. So I ended up reading volume 5 and volume 6, and these were such quick reads. We follow a bunch of kids. They live in Gracefield Hall, which is an orphanage, and they, like, you know, they go to school, they do their chores, to play and everything like that, and just wait for the opportunity to be adopted, basically. But they do find out there's something more sinister going on, and this series is just so good. I like all of the friendships between the kids, and all of the action and the dark shit going on. And I don't want to spoil anything because I can't really say much at all, but it's just so good. Then I also ended up reading Death Note Black Edition Volume 6. This is the bind up of volumes 11 and 12, so these are the last few volumes in the series. This is another manga I've really enjoyed. So this series is basically about Light Yagami. He ends up finding this death note lying on the ground, and if you write someone's name in this death note, that person will end up dying, and you can even decide when and how it's supposed to happen. Anyways, in volume 11, we have these 2 characters. They are sort of trying to outsmart each other. They're trying to prove to each other that I know what you did, I know who you are, I know what happened, blah 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 blah. And that's basically the entire volume, is them, those 2 trying to like win over the other one, basically. And it got a little bit repetitive. It was not very entertaining, so I didn't really enjoy that as much. And then volume 12 was a little bit more action, definitely wrapped up good. It was an intense ending, but overall I did really enjoy this volume as well, even though I definitely gave it a lower rating than the previous volumes. And then I also read My Imaginary Mary by Cynthia Han, Brody Ashton, and Jordan Meadows. This one is, this book follows Mary Shelley, or Mary Godwin as she's her maiden name, and Ada Lovelace. They do become friends, and they sort of work together to create different scientific things, also trying to win over all the men who are trying to steal their ideas and creations. We have some fae magic in there, which I wasn't really sure about in the beginning, but I actually ended up enjoying, which is like the first time ever. But yeah, I really love the characters' dynamic and their friendship. They're very smart, very interesting. A lot of scientific stuff going on in this one, and it was just the right amount. It was really interesting. And this is like 480 pages almost, and this was such a quick read, just like all of their other books, and I just flew through this one so quickly, and I want the next book to be out like now, but it's like a year away, so I'm really sad about that. But yeah, a really good book. And then I also read Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna Maguire. This is the 3rd book in the series called The Wayward Children, I think. In this one we meet Cora. She is a mermaid. She was in the sort of mermaid world, and she ends up going with some kids from the school to try to help a friend find her mother. I'm gonna be vague about this because spoilers. They end up going to different worlds, trying to, you know, get all the bits and pieces that they need to be able to solve this sort of mystery. And one of the worlds we go to is sort of a candy confection type of world, which definitely gave me like toothache just thinking about it. It was an interesting concept, but I do feel like Cora's character, none of the characters are described like that. They're not that three-dimensional, and I think that's what bugs me the most about this story. But Cora, we didn't really get to know a lot about her background, except that she's a mermaid. She has like green and blue hair and whatnot, and that she lived in a mermaid world. We don't really get to know that much more about her, except the fact that she's fat and she's overweight, and that's like all the focus on her at all times. And I get it, try to be like body positive, that's great, but it's just too much. Like, that's her entire character arc, and it just drove me insane. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame. And then the very last book I ended up finishing was Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This one, we meet Miko, and she lives in this temple with these monks, and she has to defend this sort of scroll. It's part of a scroll. If you collect all of the scrolls, then you can basically summon this dragon who will, maybe, if you're lucky, grant you a wish. So some people are trying to steal the scroll. Yumiko has to, you know, try to get the scroll to a different destination where it can be protected better. And she runs across Cage, who is a samurai who's after the scroll, but they end up having to work together. And unfortunately, I didn't really like this one that much. I didn't really care that much about the characters. It was just too much traveling and not a lot happened. It's not enough action for me. I need to have characters, three-dimensional characters. I need to have plot twists. I need to have adventure and action, and fortunately it just wasn't enough for me. The last few chapters bumped the rating up a little bit because there was some action and demons and stuff going on then, and that's what I was wanting more of. But yeah, this was the final book I finished. So yeah, those were all of the 12 books I ended up reading this month. Hopefully July will go just as well. So far it's looking pretty good, so we'll see about that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good day or night, and I hope we see each other in the next one. Bye!